Good morning, dear students. How are you all? I hope you all are healthy and safe and are also catching up on your studies through the various platforms available to you. And for this, I extend my gratitude to RO Jabalpur for providing us teachers this wonderful opportunity to connect with our dear students across the region. So, let us proceed to our topic. Our topic for today is a wonderful poem from class ninth book Beehive. The title of the poem is Wind. To connect with the poem better, it is very essential to understand and know about the life of the poet also to some extent. So before starting with our poem, the poet of our poem, Chinnaswamy Subramanya Bharti, was born on 11th December 1882. He was an Indian writer, journalist, Indian independence activist, and social reformer, and he belonged from Tamil Nadu. He was popularly known as Mahakavi Bharti and a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry. In fact, he was one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time. His fiery songs rekindled patriotism and nationalism during the Indian independence movement. Bharti was injured by the elephant. Students, the poem Wind was originally written in Tamil language by Subramanya Bharti. It was later A.K. Ramanujan was also a great Indian poet. He wrote in Kannada and English, and he was well known for his translations of classical and modern poetry. There is a quotation about poetry that poetry is the revelation of a feeling that the poet believes to be interior and personal, which the reader recognizes as his own. So let us read the poem Wind to find out what the poet Bharti wanted to convey through this beautiful poem. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. So, come, let's build strong homes. Let's joint the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this and the wind will be friends with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. By reading it, you all must have come to know, children, that true to its name, the poem is all about wind. The power of wind has been described in this poem. The poet is talking to the wind and he is saying that the wind is very powerful and destructive. He has linked the destructive power of the wind to the adversities of life. And in the poem, he says that the weak people break down, but the strong people emerge out of adversities much stronger. Now let us understand the poem by taking a few lines at a time. And let's find out what else the poet wants to convey through this beautiful poem. Wind, come softly. Here in the first line, the poet is addressing the wind. He is talking to the wind and asking the wind to come very softly. He does not want the wind to be loud and strong. He wants the wind to be very soft and very comfortable. Don't break the shutters of the windows. In this line, the poet is urging the wind not to blow so powerfully that it breaks down the shutters of the windows. Shutters means the panels of the windows that are used for opening or closing a window. Don't scatter the papers. The poet is further asking the wind to slow down and not scatter, that is, throw here and there the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. In this line, the poet is saying to the wind that it is not right on the part of the wind to throw down the books that are kept on the shelf. When the wind blows in a very powerful manner, it can even throw down books from the shelf. So, the poet is asking the wind not to do so. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. Now, this line suggests that perhaps the wind did not listen to the request, to the urge of the poet. Because the poet had asked the wind to come softly and not break or scatter or spread anything. But the wind did not do so. It came violently and it threw down the books from the shelf. You tore the pages of the books, and consequently, the pages of the books were torn. And this shows that the wind does what it wants to do. It does not listen to the poet or anybody else. Wind is a natural phenomenon. And the poet seems reproachful of this. He seems a bit annoyed that the wind did not listen to him. So he said, "Look what you did. You brought rain again." In this line, once again, the poet has tried to show that the wind is so mighty that not only did it come in a violent manner, it has not come alone. It has brought along with it rain that sometimes can create even further destruction. So, in the first stanza, the poet has tried to show us how powerful, how mighty, how whimsical the wind is. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Weaklings means a weak person or animal. So, in the previous stanza, the poet has asked the wind to come softly and not create any destruction. But the wind, on the other hand, poked fun, that is, made fun of the poet by not listening to the poet. It came along with rain. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. Here, the poet once again has tried to create the mighty and strong image of the wind in our minds. Here, the word crumbling is repeated so many times. Crumbling means breaking down into pieces. And this word has been repeated to emphasize that everything crumbles or breaks down into fragments in the face of a strong wind. So, the writer is saying that when a wind is very powerful, it is very strong and it can break anything and everything. Frail houses, frail means very weak and delicate. Frail doors, rafters, wood, bodies, that is, even human beings, and lives and hearts can crumble down, can break down in the wake of a very destructive wind. So the poet here wants to show that everything that is already weak, if it comes in the way of a destructive wind, it will break down further. Similarly, in the face of any adversity, any problem, any obstacle, the people who are already weak, they break down. They are not able to cope up with the problems. But the people who are strong only can emerge out of such problems. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. To winnow means to separate grain from the chaff or husk by the help of air. You must have studied this method of separation in science. Like we winnow the wheat to separate the grain from the chaff, similarly, the wind god. Here, the poet has addressed the wind as wind god. And he has done so because in this stanza, the poet has shown that if a wind is very strong, it can lead to the breakage of everything. Weak houses, weak doors, weak rafters. Rafters means the beams on which the roof of the building is supported. All the wooden structures that are not strong enough, all the people who are not strong enough. The lives means the animals, the trees, the plants other than the people, and the people who have weak hearts. They cannot survive if the wind shows them their power. Because the wind god crushes, that is, destroys all the weak and frail things that are not fit enough to face its wrath. Because the wind god crushes, that is, destroys all the weak and frail things that are not fit enough to face its wrath. He won't do what you tell him. Here he stands for the wind, whom the poet has referred to as wind god in the previous stanza. The poet wants us to make friends with the wind, that is, the adversities in our lives. I told you that the wind in this poem is a symbol of the adversities, the problems that we face in our life. The poet says that the problems will not listen to us. They will come when they have to come. So, it is us who need to be prepared to face them. And what can we do to prepare ourselves? We should build strong homes and close the doors of our houses firmly so that the wind cannot get inside. Firmly means very strongly and securely. And then the poet says that we should also make our bodies strong and our hearts steadfast. Steadfast is a synonym of firm. So, steadfast means strong and determined. So, we need to make our body and our heart strong and determined to face the challenges. And then, once we are strong enough, all the challenges will be like our friends. We will not find them troublesome anymore. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. The poet here is showing a characteristic of the wind, that the wind blows out. It means puts out or extinguishes the fires that are already weak, and the fires that are strong are made to roar and flourish, that is, to grow even stronger by the wind. Similarly, the people who are already physically and mentally weak, they become even weaker when they are faced with challenges in their life. But we should make ourselves physically and mentally strong, like the strong fires, so that when we are strong, we will overcome the challenges and we will become friends with the challenges in our life. And then we will be happy, for we will feel that these challenges have helped us to become stronger and better. Similarly, his friendship is good. We praise him every day. This means that when we are strong, then the wind will no longer seem to be our enemy to us. It will become like our friend, and we'll praise it for making us even stronger. So we should never feel bad that we are facing so many challenges and adversities in life, because these challenges, these adversities help us to flourish and become stronger in life. So in this poem, the poet has very beautifully expressed his ideas about both the destructive and constructive aspects of the wind. The wind is a symbol of the difficulties that we face in our life. Like in the beginning of the poem, the poet was criticizing the wind for its force, for its power, for its destruction. But then gradually the poet realized that we need to make ourselves determined, firm and steadfast to become friends with the wind. In real life also this works, students. When we are weak, then we feel that the difficulties that we have in our life are a big challenge for us. We feel bad about them. We criticize them, we reproach them. But then, when we have patience, we have stability, and we get the power to endure them, then these difficulties are no longer a challenge for us. We overcome them easily, and we feel grateful that such difficulties have made us better persons in life. So this is basically what the poem is all about. Now let us see the various poetic devices that have been used in this poem. The first is anaphora. Anaphora is a repetition of a certain word or phrase at the beginning of successive lines. In this poem, these are the lines which you can see on your screen in which anaphora has been used. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. These three lines begin with the same word, don't. Here, the word don't has been used by the poet to stress upon the fact that he doesn't want the wind to be destructive. Then again, we have some more lines where anaphora has been used. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Here, anaphora lies in the repetition of the word you, the pronoun you, in the beginning of all these lines. The next poetic device used in this poem is alliteration. In alliteration, the same consonant sound is repeated in the beginning of two or more words. It is not necessary that these words should always be adjacent, that is, should come together. Okay? So here, in these lines, the wind god winnows and crushes them all. Here, the sound of the consonant W. The wind god winnows, and he won't do what you tell him. Won't and what? The wind blows out weak fires, wind and weak, and he makes strong fires roar and flourish, fires and flourish. So the consonant sounds of W and F have been repeated in these lines. Then we have repetition. Repetition refers to the repetition of a word or phrase a few times, and this repetition is done to emphasize over some idea. Like in this line, frail crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. It's very clear that the word crumbling has been repeated again and again. And crumbling means breaking down into pieces and fragments. So, crumbling word has been repeated again and again here to show the extent of damage that a strong and powerful wind can bring to the weak structures. Students, personification is also one of the poetic devices that has been used in the poem. Personification means giving human characteristics to non-living objects. As you can see that in the very beginning of the poem, the poet has addressed the wind. And we cannot usually talk to wind. So in this poem, the wind has been personified by the poet. This entire poem shows the instances where the poet has personified, given human traits to the wind. But some examples that you can write are, there, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You are very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Here, the poet is addressing the wind with the pronoun you. And it is telling about the various activities that the wind is doing. He won't do what you tell him. Here he refers to the wind. The poet is trying to say to people that the wind is whimsical. It will not do what it is told. It will do what it wants to do. So these lines show that the wind has been personified in this poem. And children, symbolism, the poetic device where an object, person or situation is used to represent some other meaning than its literal or actual meaning. In this poem, of course, symbolism has also been used. The wind in this poem is in itself a symbol of the hardships, the adversities, the challenges, the obstacles that we face in our life. So it is absolutely clear that symbolism is one of the literary devices, one of the poetic devices that has been used by the poet to adorn this poem. After going through the various poetic devices, let us see the central idea of this poem. The central idea of any poem or prose is the main idea that is repeated throughout the poem or prose. Here in this poem, the central idea that is again and again repeated is the power of wind. The wind is depicted as utterly powerful in this poem. The wind can play the role of both destroyer as well as preserver. And in the poem we have seen that the role depends upon how strong the things are that come in the way of the wind. In the poem we studied that the wind destroys, it crumbles already frail things. It puts out, it extinguishes the weak fires, and it flourishes the strong fires. and it cannot harm the things that are ready, that are firm, that are resolute to face it. So, this is the central idea of the poem Wind. Now, what is the theme of this poem? Children, theme refers to the message or the lesson that a piece of writing conveys. So, what did you learn from this poem? It will be the theme of this poem. In this poem, the poet has advised us to be strong in mind and body. The poet has tried to tell us to be prepared for all kind of adversaries in our life. Our hardships will make us stronger and bolder if we face them with courage, grit and determination. So this is the main theme of this poem. This poem tries to convey this strong message that to be able to face any kind of difficult situation in life, we need to be prepared for it always. We should not be afraid to face tough times in our life, because if we make ourselves firm and strong to face difficulties, then we can easily spend our life together with the difficulties that it has to offer. In this way, we won't feel negative or depressed or sad. In this way, we will not complain, but we will accept the negative things, the adversaries as a part of our life. And we'll always be ready to face them, whatever the situation may be. Children, now that we have read the poem, understood it, gone through the central idea and the theme of the poem, along with the various poetic devices that have been beautifully used by the poet, let us also discuss the NCERT textbook questions before ending today's class. The first question is, what are the things the wind does in the first stanza? In this question, children, you have to write down the things, the various actions that the wind performs in the first stanza of this poem. So, if you recall, in the first stanza, the wind breaks the panels or the shutters of the window. It scatters the papers and throws down the books from the shelf, which results in the pages of the books being torn. And the wind also brings rain with itself. So, these are the things that you have to write in this answer. These are the things that the wind does in the first stanza of our poem. Question number 2 is, have you seen anybody winnow grain at home or in a paddy field? Paddy field is rice field. What is the word in your language for winnowing? What do people use for winnowing? Give the words in your language if you know them. So children, in this question, you have to answer on your own. You have to write whether you have seen anybody winnowing grain, that is, separating the grain from the husk or the chaff with the help of wind. If you have seen it, then you might write, yes, I have seen it. Where you have seen it, at home or in a paddy field, in a rice field. Then you have to give the name for winnowing in your local language, in your mother tongue. What do you call winnowing? And you have to write down the equipments, the things that the people use while winnowing. And you have to give the local words for these materials that the people use for winnowing. So this question you have to answer on your own. According to your own mother tongue, you have to write the answer. Question number 3 is, what does the poet say the wind god winnows? Now, in this question, we have been asked to answer, what does the wind god winnow? Like people winnow grains to separate them from the husk. So what does the wind god winnow? The wind god winnows all the things that come in its way. And in this process, it separates the strong things from the weaker ones. Okay? Question number 4. How do we make wind our friend? So remember, children, the poet had asked us that to save ourselves from the wind, its destruction, we need to make friends with the wind. So how do we do it? How do we make friends with the wind? To make friends with the wind, the poet suggests that we should build strong houses. We should shut our doors firmly, strongly and securely, so that the wind is not able to harm us. Okay? In that way, we can prevent the damages done by the wind to our house, and we also need to become strong and steadfast, firm and resolute, determined in body and mind, so that the wind or any other difficulties, any other adversaries that we face in life are not able to impact us in any negative manner. Then, question number 5. What do the last 4 lines of the poem mean to you? So the last 4 lines where the poet had mentioned that the wind extinguishes or puts out the weak fires and it flourishes, the fires that are already strong, that are already flourishing. The last stanza, if you remember, there the poet had mentioned how the wind puts out or extinguishes the weak fires and it flourishes the strong fires. So what do those lines mean to you? So you can write that in these lines, the poet inspires us to be determined and resolute in the face of difficulties or obstacles. Because the wind, that is, the obstacles and the difficulties that we face in our life, make us weaker if we are not able to face them. But if we are mentally and physically strong to face any difficulty that comes our way, then these difficulties will not be able to harm us. Even after facing them, we emerge stronger from these difficulties, because like the wind, which can extinguish only weak fires and it intensifies the strong fires, the difficulties harm or create problems for the people who are not fit enough, who are not strong enough to face them. And the people who are strong enough to face the difficulties, they learn a lot of things in difficult times. And they are grateful that they have been through such difficult times so that they could bring out the best in them. Okay? Question number 6 is, how does the poet speak to the wind, in anger or with humor? You must also have seen or heard the wind of crumbling lives. What is your response to this? Is it like the poets? Now here, it's a question that you have to answer according to your own understanding. That how do you think the poet is talking to the wind? What is his manner? Is he angry? Or is he in a light mood? To answer this question, you can recall the first few lines where the poet is strongly addressing the wind. He is again and again asking the wind not to destroy, not to damage, not to scatter, not to break. But the wind is not listening to the poet. The poet tells how the wind crumbles everything that comes in its way, if the thing is not strong enough to face it. So if we quote these instances from the poem, we can safely say that the poet is angry with the wind. And the second part, You must have also seen or heard of the wind crumbling lives. What is your response to this? Is it like the poets? Do you also feel angry that the wind destroys, damages, crumbles lives? So it's up to you. You can give a suitable reason, any suitable reason to support your answer, whether you too are angry with the wind or you do not feel that it's any fault of the wind. I really hope that after reading the poem, might be most of you would be in support of the wind, that such adversaries, such problems come into our lives to teach us a lesson. But then it's your own choice. You can write the answer that you feel is more suitable by giving a good, valid reason to support it. So, children, today we studied the poem Wind, written by Subramanya Bharati. The poem was originally written in Tamil and was later translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. This poem describes the power of the wind on nature and human life. It focuses on the violent aspect of the wind that causes heavy destruction. The poet tells us that the wind makes fun of the weak people, but favors the strong. He therefore suggests the reader to be strong both physically and mentally. Because children, in this poem, the wind is the symbol of hardships, obstacles, adversaries, challenges, the difficulties that we face in life. If we remain strong and resolute in the face of these difficulties, we are sure to conquer them without any problem. And if we are afraid and we give up, then these difficulties will make us feel very negative, very depressed. And the poem conveys the message that if we remain resolute, determined, steadfast, firm, and strong in the face of such difficulties in our life, we can face them very easily. We will not be overwhelmed by them, and they will feel as a part of our life. Because, like the poet said, difficulties extinguish, finish off the people who are weak, and they make the strong people flourish and grow even more. So this was the central message, the main moral, the main thing, the main lesson to be learnt from this poem. And I hope you all have clearly understood the message and you all will follow it in your real life also. So that is all for today, and I take your leave now. Thank you, children.